This is a match between myself and one of our pretty talented brown belts, Alan. He's very strong, very athletic, and again, very talented. Um, the things that come out in this match, there's going to be a couple of them, but the main thing that I want to discuss is the use of overhooks versus underhooks. This is primarily a standing round between Alan and I. There's going to be several different exchanges, both on the feet and from the ground up, in which I try to utilize the overhook to run against Alan's underhook to take him back to front headlock. It's going to be a really common theme. It's going to come up a bunch of times. So initially we're just sort of jockeying for head position. Alan's got his head in the pocket pretty well. I'm looking for collar tie and wrist grip. Collar tie is going to be the initial barrier to Alan's shot. We jockey here for a little bit, and he eventually comes up with the underhook. And when he does, it'll be our first example of the overhook here. There we go. So we take that back, see what happened. Alan clears the collar tie, finds himself in an underhook. My primary concern is him building his hips to my hips to be able to pick me up and throw me. As a result, I turn hard in on the overhook so that our chests are pointed in the same direction, put as much pressure on the back of his underhook as I can until I can recover position. So right here, you can see what I'm trying to do with my hip, trying to put lots of pressure in that shoulder and run it back into a position that's a little bit stronger for me. So here Alan tries to sit to a butterfly sweep. It doesn't quite get me over, and he tries to wrestle up on the underhook. I once again take the overhook and run him to front headlock. So look at that again. That's going to be pretty important. The wrestling up from the underhook is something you learn very early on. It's an important thing. You do want to be able to utilize that technique. The problem is you can't hang out on the ribs for too long, otherwise it does feed into the overhook and it does feed into the person running you to front headlock. What we need to do is try to bump off the overhook, or bump off the underhook rather, and build below the hip as opposed to over the hip. If you build below the hip, the overhook is much less effective. So right here you can see we've got both of our chests pointed towards the mat, which gives me a fair amount of pressure on the back of this, or the back of Alan's underhook here with my overhook. My hand is posted. He's kind of clinging to my inside leg, but I'm able to generate enough force to kick it through and step over and run him to front headlock. Alan's able to stand back up, and we have my first takedown attempt here. Let's go back and look at that. So Alan has a 2-on-1. I'm fighting with a far side arm drag to try to prevent him from being able to use it. We circle. I don't really like the position, so I try to kind of pull the chute on it and get out quickly, trying to hit the low single myself. Here you can see I didn't really capture the foot as well as I would like, and Alan has a pretty good chance right now. If he was to point his chest in the same direction as mine and kind of run in high leg, he probably gets out of this. Instead, he turns his chest to point at mine, which feeds back into me running this into kind of like a bad double, essentially. Here I'm just trying to get a 2-on-1, knowing at this point that this is probably going to wrestle up. And I'd like to be able to win the position ahead of time. So a bit of a break in the action. We're re-engaging and gripping again. Alan looks to set up a bit of a sweep single. He actually gets outside on the leg reasonably well, but again I end up using the overhook to shut down the attack by pointing my chest in the same direction before stepping over to front headlock again. Try to run the front headlock to a bit of an ankle pick, and we end up, again, Alan's fighting for the underhook, trying to sit up. I'm looking to smash his legs and circle towards the back. Okay, so this ends up being tangential but relatively interesting. I have him pinned here in butterfly, and I'm looking to set up an over-under pass. Once I come around his legs, Allen actually defends like 90% correctly. He recognizes pretty quick which arm is coming for his head and attempts to block on that arm. The only thing that goes a little wonky is that he defends on the bicep instead of defending on the wrist. As a result, when his palm is on my bicep, that means that my hand can come underneath to secure his elbow, and I'm able to hip switch. So again, here I'm looking to set up the over-under. And when I come around, you can see there, he's posted on my bicep, which means that this hand can grab underneath his elbow, so that when I hip switch, I have really decent control. Unfortunately, run into the wall and end up resetting. But in that same position, here, if he's posted on my wrist, when I hip switch, he's going to be able to shrimp through it, and I'm not going to get quite the same control. He's probably got a pretty good chance of wrestling back up on that. So here we pop back up. I'm looking for, again, collar tie and wrist control. Allen's looking to win a grip and sit immediately to that butterfly sweep. He does this very well. This time it ends up being really quite threatening. I believe I try to turn him with a kind of a cattle catch thing first. That doesn't particularly work very well. So here what I'm looking for once I stand back up is I would like to hit the rolling Kimura pass. As soon as I grab the Kimura here, Allen is attempting to posture up and step over. We end up in a bit of a muscly kind of battle for position here. Go off camera, and I'm looking to hit the rolling back take. Once I come up on his back, my main goal here is to transition to the armbar because I wasn't able to knock him down. I'm trying to get my far leg under his head unsuccessfully, and I'm trying to get my near leg into his hip unsuccessfully. I don't particularly like the amount of pressure it's putting on my neck, and I just choose to disengage. Allen has a really well-timed reshot here. One of the best times to score is as soon as you reset either out of a shot, back to a standing position when people tend to be a little bit relaxed, and he does this really well. Luckily, I'm able to get the collar tie and sprawl on it, but the timing of it was really quite good. So again, as soon as I disengage here, Allen's already thinking offense and comes up, and as soon as I find my feet, he's shooting in. I sprawl basically off the mat. And we're going to be coming into my second low single attempt here. This one's a little better. I do capture the foot a little bit better. Okay, so let's go back and look at that again. Same kind of concept as last time. This time when I slide in, I am able to capture the foot. Again, if right at this point, Allen points his chest in my direction and high legs, point in the same direction as my chest and high legs, he's probably going to get out of here. But by turning to face me again, he gives me better control over his hip, and I'm able to kind of finish it as a kind of more traditional low single. He's trying to attack the neck, which gives me an opportunity to pass. Had he again defended the left hand coming up, he would have been better off. Again, we see he does find an underhook to scramble up. And again, I use the overhook to run him back to front headlock. Right through there. My primary attack from front headlock is what we call a unicorn choke or a head and arm guillotine. Not an arm in guillotine, a head and arm guillotine, because it's kind of like an inverted arm triangle. I'm on my weak side right now, so I switch over to my strong side. But Allen's using his knees really well to not let my knee in. I need to get my right knee outside my left arm. So I attempt to flip him over the top to create space, but Allen and I have done this many times, and he doesn't want me to. Manages to fight me back to standing again. Here, I think he actually wanted an Imanari or some sort of inverted shot. I misread it, I think, as just a sweep single and just tried to sprawl on it. But it ends up working out okay. I come up in his guard. Alan threatens a pretty good triangle. I'm basically dead tired here, and I know that the round is almost over, so I'm playing almost exclusively defense. I'm just trying to keep him in a position where he has to run it to the omoplata, trying to not let him get the angle he wants to finish. I've got my hands linked and I'm dropping that shoulder. When Alan does make the transition to the omoplata, I know I'm sweaty enough to just pull out of it, and the round ends. Anyway, a couple of interesting takeaways from that. Primarily talking about, again, using the overhook to run against the underhook. Hopefully you found this useful. I'm going to link to the previous blog entry I did on that subject, and you can see kind of some longer discussion on that. Hope this was useful. We'll see how it turns out.